Now, if everything else I say to you is kind of gobbledygook, the one thing I want you to remember is that you as parents and that your children need to know this, that letters have a name and that letters have a sound. So knowing the name of the letters is relatively important, but it certainly doesn't help them learn to read. So knowing the name of the letters, like, say, in the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, L, M, N, O, P, all of those, sometimes they think that's one, L, M, N, O, P is one letter. But those are the names of the letters. The sounds are the ones that are going to help them to learn to read. So the kindergarten teachers spend a lot of time talking about, they introduce the letter, they say the name, they say the sound, do lots of activities with it. So training them to hear the first sound. Moving on past that, then we work to the ending sound, and the hardest to hear is the middle in between. But our goal then would be number 4 for the end of kindergarten, that we would like work toward, maybe not everyone will get there, but work toward having them be able to hear the beginning, middle, and end. So if you said cat, they could go cat, making each sound clearly. And then number 5 is what they spend a little bit more time in grade 1 doing. So that's manipulating the sounds, maybe taking a sound off, putting a new sound in. So going from cat, we're going to take off the k, we're going to put up the, what do we have now? That. So that's getting into word families and those kinds of things. Maybe taking a letter off, you know, if you have cat and you take off the t, what do you have? Those kinds of things, substituting and adding. But that's not anything too much that you need to hear about right now. That's working toward grade. Now, I just wanted to kind of address some of these books over here. So what can you do at home with them? And I would say, first and foremost, great books. Great books that do rhyme. So rhyme is where you're at right now. And you'll get a chance when you're playing the games with your child today, you'll get a chance to, oh yeah, they got it, good. Yeah, they got the rhyming. But if they don't, I would say a really fun, super fun way to do it is through books. And there's so many great books. This one, do you know which ones will grow? These are books from our library. And just get to this page, yeah. If a duckling grows and becomes a duck, can a car grow and become a truck? Yay! You got truck. So that's a kind of fun, and that's kind of what you could do with them, is give them that wait time and let them think about it, and yeah, you get to that word. So this is like a fun activity. So many great rhyming books and books that play with the sounds of language. Bill Martin Jr. has a lot of them. There's the Brown Bear, and This Bunny is Funny, and the 10 Little Caterpillars. All of those have the rhythm and the rhyme. And I have a little list. This is the website that I was talking about that Kathy, our librarian, showed me. And what it does, what I think is really cool, is it breaks it down to grades. So it starts at kindergarten, and it says, these are, 50, I think it's about 50, I'm not sure how many, but there's a lot, books that you should read to your child over the course of kindergarten. And then it goes to grade 1 and grade 2. So it's a cool website. And when I asked Kathy to, take a quick look at it and see how many we had, she said, yeah, we've got a good number of them. So that would be something that using books as a tool to teach that rhyme. But there's lots of other things that you can do. And I'm just going to grab a book that has some letters on it. Here, we'll use this. So another thing besides just teaching the phonemic awareness things is concepts about print. So when you're sitting down with your child and you have your book, you could say, where's the front of the book? Where's the back of the book? Where do we start? Just those simple things. We start here. Show me where we go to next. Oh, this is the title. Now, lots of times, and I do this with them when I do a screener, with the kindergarten students when I do a screener in December. I have a little book with them. I ask them those questions, and then I'll say, where do I start reading? And some children will actually point to the picture. So they don't really get that the pictures are for our, looking at, but the print contains the message. So hopefully you could use your finger, and this is, you wouldn't have to do this all the time, but sometimes, maybe just show them, hey, this is what I'm doing, going across here. And you know what, when I get to the end here, where do I go to next? Oh, I go all the way over here to there. And because sometimes what we see is this, where they go up like this, and then they curl around, go like this, and like that. They don't really get that, oh, when we come to the end, it's that left to right directionality. There's some other things you could do. You could be looking for, oh, do you see a B on this page? You know, this print is kind of tiny, but if it was just one line and it was clear, if they're looking for a letter, you could find, and even counting words, oh, look at, so that they're saying that, oh, this is a word, this is a word, this is a word, this is a word. Working toward those kind of things. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 words on that. And in between the words, there's spaces, those kinds of things. So there's lots of, and like I say, don't beat it to death. Do it on one page and then have fun and read for a few more. But just those kind of incidental learnings are really, really important with your children. You're spending that time, you know, working with it, so they have to know the print. And I know sometimes there's some funny things like that, you know, don't worry about that part, you know. But if the print is kind of going from left to right, you can kind of point and show and teach them those little concepts about print is what we call it. So that's just another activity that you could do. So great literature, and it also builds their story sense. So as you're reading the stories to them, they're learning lots of things. They're learning, oh, a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's going to help them when they start generating their stories, their own stories. Now, there are some great computer games that are going to teach those skills too, the phonemic skills. I've seen some great ones where the sea is coming down, on a rocket ship, and they have great visuals. Just a little warning about them. About 50% that I found, that I saw, did not actually say the sound of the letter. So they were simply a letter recognition activity rather than building phonemic skills. So, play around with it, try to find some. If that's what you're trying to do is build the phonemic skills, make sure that the computer is actually saying the sound of the letters to act.
Do you guys have a list of apps or anything like that that would be good for that?
We have some. We actually have one. I think it'll be in the next handout that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 So that would be.
They're always changing. There's always new ones that are
Yeah.
out there too. So if you find some, let us know also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what was my experience when we were looking at them, and that was a couple of years ago. We took a look at them when we first started doing these sessions, and I was a little disappointed, but I wasn't surprised because the people that make those games are not all teachers, so they don't really get it. That capacity, that's what we're doing. But just to say it again, making sure that when you're talking about the letters and you're working with your child, it's like a letter has a name and the letter has a sound. And we'll beat that one to death. And and the other thing that's just really, really important is doing that daily reading with your child. And it's going to build, because when they're grade 1, they're going to have a book bag and you're going to have to do homework reading with them. So if you spend a little bit of time in kindergarten, setting some time aside that you're reading, then they're going to be used to it. They're used to sitting down. And some boys, and I shouldn't say boys or girls who aren't really thoroughly active and maybe don't like to sit too much, start doing that training of sitting a little bit, and find books that they enjoy. So, Dino Hockey, something if they're not interested in, you haven't got any, they're not just loving books yet. Find books that they're engaged and interested in. There's so many great books out there, and our library is just filled with them. So between our library and the public library, it's a wealth of great books out there.
Do parents kind of take up books or just the kids? Because they're only allowed one book at a time, right?
Yeah, in kindergarten it's just one.
Oh,
But
is that right?
I do think Kathy would be quite willing to sign some out to you if you'd like to take some out. Yeah.
Yeah, they just kind of choose it randomly.
Yeah, and
You got a book with just pictures.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things you can do with those. You can make your own story for sure, but yeah, I get that.
classes, are they learning all this in French or are they doing English?
They're learning it in French, but if there has to be, so all of the activities that Claire, well, in half and half, they're doing both, right? But let's talk about the strictly French class. So Claire is doing introducing her letter sounds and the names of the letters in French. But she'll have activities, phonemic activities in French, that will teach them the sounds, if they're doing rhyming and those things. But she will also have some English games, because we have generated lots of English games as well. So I think that in kindergarten, there's a mixture of it. And I know that the games that we made last year we spent part of our professional learning time generating a whole bunch of rhyming games and initial sound games, and they were all in English. But I think a lot of the research says that it's okay for them to do those activities in their mother tongue, like in their mother tongue.
First
And
language.
especially rhyming. Rhyming is really hard in French. It's not a rhyming kind of language, and it's difficult to generate those rhymes. So some of the activities that Claire will be doing, especially when we get to the targeted groups. So let's say we find some kids that they're really not getting the rhyming. So if we're going to do targeted groups, it's going to be in English in kindergarten.
That would be when you pull them out and work